What's going on, Bottom Line viewers? It's Mitch here of the Bottom Line View, back with another WWE Attitude Era review. This one's going to be for May the 18th, 1998. That is Raw 260. If you're looking it up on the WWE Network and following along and watching these episodes right before I do review them, then it's Raw 60 on the WWE Network. You can check that out. May the 18th, 1998. And man, oh man, oh man, this show is so good that, like, just watching it, you might cry during the episode. It's that good. I mean, you look from segment to segment to segment how well this show was written, how good the performances were, how the story went from the beginning to the end. Just every single segment was amazing. This was the best show on TV at this time, and it was definitely no doubt. I mean, this show was absolutely incredible from beginning to end. There was no touching Raw on May 18th, 1998. I mean, this show is incredible, and I'm really happy to go through it with you guys. I hope you guys enjoy this review. If you do, hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you're new and you enjoy wrestling reviews and Attitude Era reviews just like this one. Make sure you subscribe. I'm doing a whole entire series based on the Attitude Era. So if you guys haven't checked out the videos previously, there is a playlist on the channel for these videos, and this video will appear in the playlist, and you can check out those videos in order if you would like. Also, guys, it would be even better if you go back, watch the shows, then come here and you know exactly what I'm talking about while, I'm discussing this. And because for a lot of people, it's been rather a very long time since seeing this, or a lot of you have not even seen these shows. So it's interesting, just to go back and see what wrestling really can be at its peak. So let's go with the opening segment, which is Vince McMahon with Gerald Briscoe and Pat Patterson. This is a in-ring promo. But just before this, JR announces that DX will be in a tag team match sometime later tonight versus The Rock and Owen Hart. So we're looking forward to that sometime later in the night. But the opening promo has to do with Vince McMahon and his Stooges. And Vince says, as a result of his clothesline last week, Austin has suffered a mild concussion. And then JR's like, I have not heard anything of that sort. You know what I mean? Like, JR is like putting this to rest. Like, Austin did not get a concussion from that clothesline. Vince is just making all this bull crap up and all this stuff. So, as we saw last week, Vince was involved in a tag team match, partnering up with Stone Cold Steve Austin. And Vince hit him with a clothesline. And, apparently Austin got a mild concussion from it. But we'll see. He then says, for Austin's protection, he has barred Stone Cold from the arena tonight. He's not allowed to come in. He's not allowed to come in this ring. And he can be nowhere near the arena tonight. So footage is then shown of Austin trying to enter the arena, but he's not allowed because the security guards are there and they're not allowing him to enter the arena. Austin then says, we can do this the easy way or the hard way. He says, one way or another, I will get in the arena tonight. Vince introduces Dude Love to the ring. Dude Love, Foley in a suit with the nice hair and the tie. It's all back and ready from last week. We had him last week with like the newspaper and the glasses and the whole gimmick. But this week we have him in the suit, the hair, the tie, all nice and prepped up. And then we have Dude, who builds up a match between all three of them at the next upcoming pay-per-view. Because as we know, Dude Love is the #1 contender for Stone Cold Steve Austin's WWF Championship. And the match is set to be intertwined with the three Stooges, which is Vince, Gerald Briscoe, and Pat Patterson. Pat Patterson is going to be the ring announcer. Gerald Briscoe is going to be I believe he's going to be Pat Patterson's the ring announcer. Gerald Briscoe is the man on the bell. And also Vince McMahon is the ref, I think. It might be Gerald Briscoe is the ref, but I'll have to check that real quick. But that's for what I remember. And then we have Dustin Runnels, also known as Dustin Rhodes and Goldust. So Goldust comes out, and Vince says, "Take control of your life. because, you know, you keep blaming me for all of your problems, you being Goldust. I made you. I made you Goldust. I made you famous by making this character Goldust. I gave you Goldust. Now it's on you to make something out of what I gave you, and I gave you Goldust. So Dustin is not having any of it. He doesn't want to be this Goldust character anymore. He basically, you know, last week we saw him put the Goldust character basically on fire by putting all, you know, his ring gear on fire. So this week Vince says if you can beat Dude Love, it will be you, Dustin, versus Stone Cold at the pay-per-view. But if you don't beat Dude Love, you'll be suspended from pay and you won't be paid for 30 days. So this is very realistic. I really like this. Instead of, you know, having them say you're going to be fired or you're out of the company or, you know, we're going to send you somewhere else, you're going to be suspended for pay for 30 days if you don't win this opportunity, because I'm giving you this opportunity for free, Dustin. If you do beat Dude Love, you will be facing Stone Cold for the WWF Championship. I think that's very good and very realistic. And it was very, very well done by Vince, specifically the way he put it over. And then we have Dustin. He basically, you know, clocks Dude Love, and then everybody just jumps on Rhodes and, you know, beats the crap out of him. So we have like the Stooges start beating him up, and then Dude Love gets up and starts stomping on him. It was a great character building promo from Vince, from Gerald, from Pat. And then you also have, you know, the whole Dustin Runnels thing that they're building his new character up with the Goldust No More. And I thought it was just a really good character building promo. We also saw the fact that, okay, we have this story tonight. Austin's rather not going to be in the arena, or he's trying to make his way into the arena. Is he going to make his way in the arena? Like, what's going to happen with Stone Cold? So we have so many things going on. We're going to have this, you know, Goldust versus Dude Love match later in the night. We're going to have this Stone Cold storyline. We're going to have the Vince stuff, so we need to stay tuned for that. Then we have Jerry the King Lawler, and he's talking to a guy, like, covered in a blue blanket. Right after he gets out of this limo, he has, like, this guy in a blue blanket, but they don't know who it is, and you can't clearly see who it is. So it's a guy in a blue blanket, and he basically is trying to bring him into the arena. But the interesting thing about this is the continuity of the segment. So you have, you know, Jerry Lawler who's trying to bring this guy in the arena, right? So there's two people that are trying to get in the arena. There's this guy in the blanket, and there's also Stone Cold. So is it actually Stone Cold who Jerry is trying to get in the arena, or is it somebody else? So the security guard is like, okay, I got to check this in case it's Stone Cold because he's not allowed in the arena, because that would have been really stupid if Stone Cold was just, you know, under a blanket and he got in the arena. But it's not Stone Cold. The guy checks, but we don't see who it is. So he gets into the arena, and basically, you know, King is using this guy, whoever it is, under the blanket as protection from the Undertaker, because we know from last week that the Undertaker attacked Jerry the King Lawler. So very good writing from week to week here. Then next we have Val Venis' debut. So this is right after the commercial break versus Scorpio. Val Venis gets an absolutely massive pop. He's really, really over, and I love the way that the cameraman would like keep zooming in on all the women in the crowd, like to see their reactions to Val Venis, because obviously his character is that he's a porn star. So I thought that it was a really, really good, well done, you know, just debut, the entrance. The entrance is awesome, obviously, especially the theme. And, you know, Val Venis comes down, all the ladies are looking at him. You know, a couple of them are, like, screaming and, you know, whistling at him, which is awesome. Like, the crowd is just going with the gimmick, which is absolutely awesome. And then you have a Val Venis match versus Scorpio. I really thought that Val Venis in the ring isn't the greatest wrestler in the world, but he's very charismatic and he's good with his character. And it was kind of an interesting match just to see, you know, his first ever WWE match, because we never seen him before to this point. And I did think that this was a pretty good match. Like, I didn't expect it to be. I thought it was just going to be, you know, a squash match for Val, and he was going to go over pretty quickly. But it was a competitive match. It was actually pretty good. I didn't expect it to be that good. And Val, he dodges a 450, and he hits a money shot, which is the finisher off the top rope. Get money shot, great creative name for his finisher, against Scorpio, and wins the match. So that was a pretty good debut match from Venis. I'm interested to see what's going to happen next with him. And obviously the crowd loved it. And this is a example, one of the biggest examples of a guy getting over before he even gets announced for a match. Before he even has a match once, he's already over. Then we have Stone Cold Steve Austin, who's in a parking lot outside the arena. So Stone Cold is trying to get in the building. Stone Cold then basically asks the security if he can get in. But then he just beats the crap out of the security guard. He just beats him up. He calls him trash. He calls medical to get down here for the security guard because he beat the crap out of him. And then says Vince's ass belongs to Stone Cold Steve Austin right in the camera. So that was really, really good. And then we have Stone Cold who goes in the ring, basically, goes from the backstage area through the parking lot, through the backstage, through the entrance ramp, and then he gets a huge pop. Like, this is massive pop. Like, nobody today would even get anything close. And then he goes to the ring. He calls out Vince McMahon. He calls out Pat. He calls out Briscoe. And he says, if you guys don't come down here right now, I'm going to tear this place up, and I'm going to break every single camera that you have in this joint. Like, that sort of thing. And then Vince says, who do you think? He comes out, and of course, no entrance music, just very pissed off. He says, who do you think you are? And Stone Cold says he is the person looking at three jackasses dressed in suits. He wants tonight to come down here, and he wants to fight all three of them, and that's the way it's going to be. He wants to fight all three of them tonight. It doesn't matter when it is, he wants to fight them tonight. So Vince says, oh, you want to fight all three of us? You want to fight? You want a street fight? And he's like, you want a street fight? And Pat calls Stone Cold an idiot. Briscoe, is like, I want to kick your ass, Stone Cold, and it's just really, really funny. The way that Briscoe and Pat would play off of Vince is really hilarious. And then Vince says, you're not gonna get all three. Because if you got all three, it wouldn't even be fair because we're just these three manly men. You know what I mean? But you're going to get two out of the three, but I'm not going to tell you which two it's going to be. But tonight, it's going to be a street fight. Two of us versus the one of you. And Stone Cold basically tells Vince to go screw yourselves. You're going to get your ass whipped because Stone Cold said so. The crowd goes nuts for this segment, and they're really, really pumped up to see this street fight. So that was an awesome, awesome segment building up to something later in the night. Very entertaining, very good writing, very good continuity, and it just continues the story on. Then you have an Edge vignette, which this is like embrace the Edge and let it go. So basically, they're kind of trying to showcase what Edge's character is in the vignette, and you see Edge like during the vignette running in the streets and stuff. So it's an interesting one. It's very cool. Then we have Jerry Lawler, who he's at the like announce table, and he asks for the makeup lady to come to the announce table, and this is like the legitimate makeup lady. And she like does his makeup up, and Lawler says, you take care of me, and I'll take care of you. To the makeup lady, which is great. Then we have Sable and Mero do a promo in the ring. And Sable comes out, and she's super, super over at this point. Another massive reaction. There's legitimate Sable chants like, let's go Sable, and Sable, Sable. So, like, everybody loves Sable. She's, like, one of the three most over people in the entire company right now. Sable then calls out Mark Mero. I love the way that Mark Mero would, like, strut to the ring the way that he did, and I thought it was really funny. And then Sable wants, she basically wants to leave Mark Mero, but Mero says that you signed a contract with the Marvelous One, and what the contract says is, I own you. You are my property. What I want you to do is get in my corner, or I'll sue you for everything you got. So basically, that's the end of the segment. We have Sable and Mero, and Sable's going to have to figure out a way for her to get out of this contract one way or another. So I thought that was very good. But that's the promo before the match that Marc Mero has versus Terry Funk. And, you know, Funk does win the match with help from Sable. So basically what Sable tries to do here in this match is, you know, try to be something not a positive impact for Marc Mero being in his corner. It's going to be a negative impact because she's going to be helping his opponent. So, you know, then we have Terry Funk win the match, and basically have another comment here like, why is Funk still wrestling at 53 years old? The guy's basically done everything you can do. I don't think so. I think, you know, I don't understand why Terry Funk was still wrestling at 53 years old. I guess he just loved it that much and figured he could still do it. But hey, he won this match against Marc Mero, so that's great. Then we have security guard with a cop, but basically looking for Stone Cold Steve Austin, and that goes to commercial. We then have LOD 2000 versus the DOA. Basically, what they're doing is they're fighting for the #1 contendership against the New Age Outlaws for the New Age Outlaws title. The DOA win. It was very short. And basically what they're trying to tell the story of from week to week is that they're outsmarting the LOD. They did the switch again with the partners that, you know, Skull and 8-Ball. They did the switch, and they got the victory over LOD once again. So basically what happens here is LOD says, we want a 6-man tag next week, says LOD, and you don't have to worry about who our partner is going to be. We're going to find out that on our own, but we're going to kick your ass next week. So then they go from that and they transition to the King and a bodyguard that they're going to reveal. So I love the way that they would like transition from one show to the other with stories. So, you know, they transition from the LOD 2000 and DOA this week. Okay, next week we're going to have a 6-man tag team match with these guys next week. Okay, so Sable and Marc Mero had a promo this week. Next week, you know, Sable is going to figure out how to get out of this contract thing. You know, Stone Cold, that's still developing this week, but we're going to find out what happens next week. Just continuous things like we know what every person is going to do on the show next week before it even happens. We're not sitting there watching the show guessing on what's going to happen. We kind of know what everybody's set up to do. It's just a matter of what they actually do. So then we have the King and bodyguard, and King basically says he's sick of having people shove him around. He's stop messing with the King. Nobody's gonna mess with the King now. And he says with Al Snow as Jerry's bodyguard, you know, nobody's gonna mess with him. So the guy is revealed as Al Snow, the guy under the blanket. So Al says, you know, okay, I'm your bodyguard now. Like, I'm here. All I want is a meeting with Vince. Like, can I get a meeting with Vince now? I'm your bodyguard. I'm here to protect you, but I want my meeting with Vince. So the story basically is that Al Snow is here, and last week he wanted a meeting with Vince so that he can sign with the WWF because he doesn't have a contract. So he had to be snuck in the arena because he doesn't have a contract and he's not a wrestler. So the King snuck him in, but he is, you know, an actual wrestler, so he could be the King's bodyguard in case the Undertaker comes here. So it makes a lot of sense. Then what happens is, you know, Al isn't signed. He's trying to get this signing, but Al leaves the King. Al leaves with King. Basically, you know, I don't remember where they go, if it's through the crowd or back through the stage, but they both leave together. So then we have Dustin Runnels versus Dude Love. What happens here is Dude wins via distraction from Briscoe with the mandible claw. So Briscoe and Pat Patterson are out there, and they try and help Dude Love win the match. And basically, Dude Love gets the mandible claw on Dustin and gets the victory. There was like this there's this fake tattoo on Dude Love, I think it was, of like Vincent Kennedy McMahon, and he had like the VKM on like his arm, I think, and it is like a VKM fake tattoo. It was really, really funny. So yeah, Dude Love wins that match against Dustin Runnels, retaining his opportunity to be the #1 contender with the help from Briscoe and the distraction. Then we have Stone Cold backstage, and backstage Stone Cold is getting arrested. So basically what happened is Stone Cold is getting arrested. Stone Cold is smiling at Vince through the camera, and it's getting very, very hectic. Vince is there, and basically Vince and Stone Cold are yelling at each other. And Vince says, I regret this because I won't be able to kick your ass tonight in that street fight. So Stone Cold is like really pissed. They're yelling back and forth. Stone Cold's getting arrested, but while he's getting arrested, they're both yelling at each other, and there's like madness backstage, and they're trying to put him in the cop car while he's getting arrested. So it was really, really good. That was an awesome segment. Then we have the Headbangers versus Kai and Tai. During the match, Al Snow says that he wants to see Vince. Yamaguchi-san's getting involved outside of the ring. Kai and Tai are using their quickness, and their Headbangers are trying to use the power because Kai and Tai are really tiny. And the Headbangers are pretty big dudes. So the Headbangers are kind of throwing him around and using their power, while Kai and Tai is kind of running around and doing their quick little moves. JR, always goes through Kai and Tai's background, where they're from, what they're about. I think one of the guys was like a fan of like a rock band. I don't remember exactly what rock band it was, whether it was like Metallica or like Led Zeppelin or something like that. But like he was a big fan of one of these bands, and he would like always have the shirt on of one of them. And he would go through like the backgrounds of what they're about from Japan, like what they did in Japan, or what they're about, what they their personalities are. Then he would talk about the Headbangers and them being legitimate like athletes, but also having this edge to them because they're headbangers and this and that. So JR would always kind of help us with the characters. And then they would have like in this match, this was basically a match, but it's a match obviously in the ring, but they're using this match to also tell the story of Al Snow. So while this match is happening, they're using the commentary to put over Al Snow and the story of Al Snow. So Al Snow is continuing to ask, when do I get to see Vince to Jerry? And they're using the stories on commentary for Al Snow to get over, pretty much. So what happens is in this match is Bradshaw and Taka come in the match. They break up the 3-on-1 assault that's happening in the ring, and Kai and Tai, ditch through the crowd once again. So they're continuing that Kai and Tai run away from Bradshaw and Taka every week, when they try and get their revenge. So that was pretty good, continuing the story there, and also involving a story through the commentary with Al Snow. Then we have Stone Cold, who's in a cop car on his way to jail, and that's basically the only scene. You kind of see Vince and the Stooges like talking to each other with the cops, and Stone Cold is in the cop car with handcuffs on, and that goes to commercial. Then you see Paul Bearer and Kane DNA testing, and Bearer is like really, really scared of the needle, and he's like looking away, and he's like, it doesn't hurt. It does hurt. It does hurt. And he's like really panicking about Kane, and Kane is just kind of sitting there, and he's wearing like a ski mask, and what's that? Like a windbreaker jacket. Like it's actually hilarious what Kane is wearing during this thing. I wish I could show you a picture of it. But like Kane is like wearing a windbreaker. He's not wearing any of his Kane outfit, but he is wearing a mask. Like he's wearing like a ski mask kind of thing. And yeah, you can't see his face obviously, but he's not wearing the Kane mask. He's wearing something else. And that I just love that. It was great, and a great attention to detail, because you're not just gonna have Kane go out there with his normal face. You're not gonna have Glenn Jacobs be there. So I thought that was really, really good, and Paul Bearer put it over so much. It was just hilarious to watch that. Then we have the New Age Outlaws versus Rock and Owen Hart. DX does an in-ring promo, and they say, Xbox says that I got game, she got game, they got game, we got game, DX got game, And then he makes a Spike Lee reference, and then they do, you know, the "Are You Ready?" which is so iconic. I mean, everybody knows what that is, and everybody's doing it in the crowd, and it's just great to see DX doing it in their prime. Triple H then says he is, you know, a hell of a drummer. Ladies, if you're not too enthralled with the show, I'll let you twirl my stick while you beat on the tom tom. So Triple H, of course, is doing, you know, the sexual jokes. And then Road Dogg calls Owen Hannibal Lecter. Triple H then says it's not know your role, it's shut your hole, talking about The Rock. Then they're like, while the Nation comes out, there's just raining, like, just absolutely so many Rocky sucks chants, like Rocky sucks, like everybody in the arena is doing Rocky sucks. Then a brawl breaks out between DX and Nation, and there's absolute madness. There's an actual injury to a cameraman. A cameraman gets like pushed over, and he's like injured. And after the commercial, the match starts, and everybody is thrown out except for Chyna. So what happens is the people's elbow, you know, in this match, I did notice that it's starting to get really over. Nobody really knows what it's about, and it's not a finisher at this point. It's usually just a 2 count, but it's really starting to get over big time, and people are starting to react to it. And Owen bites Road Dogg's ear. That's like a part of his gimmick now. Like, he just starts biting people's ears all the time. He's Hannibal Lecter, I guess. Rock then hits the rock bottom. Chyna breaks it up. Farouk comes from behind and hits a pile driver on the Rock, and Road Dogg picks up the win on Rock after Farouk hits him with the pile driver. So obviously we know that Farouk is in a feud with the Rock over the IC title, so they have that. They also have the DX and Nation, which is the over, you know, theme of everything. Owen Hart is very involved with this, and yeah, so I thought that was really good. The match was pretty good overall. I love the promo from DX, very funny, and they are just having so much fun doing it, which you can obviously tell. I liked picking up on some of, because I'm such a big Rock fan, some of the little things that were happening, like the chants for Rocky sucks, the rock bottom, stuff like that. So that was great. Then we have an Austin in the cop car, basically shot again. He's still in the cop car. He's still waiting. And basically what happens here is the bodyguard makes him a deal and says, if you apologize to Vince McMahon and you apologize to the bodyguard who you beat the crap out of, you're not going to go to jail. So Austin, you know, apologizes to the bodyguard with a middle finger, and the cops then let him go. So he has to, like, it takes a while because he has to do a sincere apology, and then he flips the guy off, and then they finally let him go. So then we have the results of the DNA test. Kevin Kelly is with a doctor, a legitimate doctor who they prove is a doctor. Not just a fake doctor that Paul Bearer hired, but a legitimate doctor. So Paul Bearer said, you know, is the biological father of Kane. Kane, you know, is getting huge pops at this point when he comes out. Because before, I should explain this better. So what we have is basically, you know, a video of a legitimate doctor proving that Kane is the son of Paul Bearer. And then what happens is the entrance of Kane and Paul Bearer. And Kane gets a huge pop when he comes out. The entrance is really, really organic at this point. Bearer comes out, and he's in the ring, and he cuts his classic promo, and he says, Bearer is the fat man that tells the truth. And he says, I told you, Undertaker, your brother was alive. I told you that I was the father of Kane, and the proof is in the pudding. You need to understand, Undertaker, your mama was a whore. And he just, like straight up, your mama was a whore. Undertaker storms to the ring and knocks down Bear, choke slams Kane. Then Kane gets up, like, really quickly from the choke slams Taker. Kane and Bear then stomp away at Taker, and they're starting to get the advantage on Taker. Vader comes out down to help. It gets really, really intense. Vader's, like, bashing in Kane, and Taker, you know, is kind of recovering. Vader sends Kane to the back, like all the way up the ramp. Kane, so while Vader and Kane are kind of fighting, Taker chases Bear, through the gorilla position, and you can like see them go back to the locker room or something. So Taker is chasing Bear through that, and JR is going absolutely freaking insane while this is happening. And it's just JR at his absolute best during this show, especially. JR was fantastic. This segment was no different. He was incredible in this segment. And we have, Kane is trying to get to Paul Bearer and save Paul Bearer from Taker, because Taker obviously wants to beat the crap out of Bearer, but Vader's getting in the way of things. Then we have Briscoe and Patterson, and they're in the ring, and they're cutting a promo, and basically, this is going to be the street fight. It's going to be Briscoe and Patterson versus Stone Cold, and you can see Briscoe and Patterson come out, and they both have like these shirts on of their ring gear, and Briscoe has a Brothers Body Shop shirt on, which I thought was hilarious, and Patterson has a First Intercontinental Champion shirt on as well. So that was really great, like that attention to detail. And the special guest referee for the match is going to be the Commissioner, Sergeant Slaughter. Stone Cold comes down like a freaking badass to the ring. During the match, Slaughter knocks down Austin from behind, and, the 2-on-1 begins. So you have Patterson and Briscoe who start beating up Stone Cold. Then it kind of flips, and, Stone Cold starts making the two look like absolute goons. Like, they're just selling everything, like, way over the top. And it's these two, like, 55-year-old men, like, fighting Stone Cold, which is awesome. Austin then stuns Briscoe and Patterson, reverses Slaughter's Cobra Clutch, and then stuns him as well. Dude Love comes in, and then Dude Love and Austin start fighting. Dude gets sent over the ring. The crowd is going absolutely freaking bonkers at this point. It's going insane because Austin is going nuts and beating everybody up. And then McMahon comes out of nowhere, hits Austin with a chair in an Austin mask. And, Vince, so basically to describe this, Vince was in the crowd the whole time beside Al Snow, because Al Snow, remember how I mentioned how Al Snow left with Jerry Lawler? So Jerry Lawler sent Al Snow to go sit in the front row. But beside him, Al Snow didn't know that Vince McMahon was actually in the front row with him wearing a Stone Cold Steve Austin mask. So McMahon hits Austin with a chair with an Austin mask off, takes it off. Then Mick gets the claw on Austin, and basically, they continue to beat down Austin, and that's how the show ends. So we're getting heel heat on the big time heels going into, the next week. So again, great ending to the show. JR was going freaking crazy throughout the last segment. The last two segments were absolutely 100% incredible. This was a really, really good show. Very entertaining from beginning to end. I love the storyline of Stone Cold potentially being sent to jail. I really liked basically everything on the show. I really liked the reveal of the bodyguard of Jerry Lawler. I liked the intertwine of Dustin Runnels' new character. There was nothing boring on the show. There's no reason to change the channel. Everything was great, even like the low card stuff, like Val Venis' debut, Sable and Marrow, LOD and DOA, like all this stuff was really, really good. And the main event just knocked it out of the park. Like Briscoe and Patterson versus Stone Cold was super entertaining. Definitely recommend it. The results of the DNA test was fantastic. I loved that on the show. The New Age Outlaws versus Rock and Owen was great. So this is a 10 out of 10 show for me. I've been giving a lot of the shows very close to 10s, but this show from beginning to end was super entertaining. We had, great segments, great storytelling, multiple different, pre-taped things. We had a storyline for every character that was from the beginning to the end. We had 3 different, I think, threads in the show, which that's incredible. We had a Stone Cold thread. We had a Al Snow thread, and we also had a Taker and Kane thread. So that's 3 threads on one show. We had very good matches, and I just thought this show was the best it could possibly get. Like, this was an incredibly good show with great writing and great performances and great comedy, great action. It's everything you ask from a wrestling show. So this is a 10 out of 10 show from May the 18th, 1998. Hope you guys enjoyed this review. If you did, hit the like button and subscribe for more Attitude Era reviews. If you haven't already, check out the playlist of the rest of my Attitude Era reviews. It will be on the channel, and it will also be, following this video, you'll see another one of them pop up. So thanks, guys, for watching. It's Mitch of the Bottom Line View. If you enjoyed and you're new, subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to like the video. Peace out.